everyone. Just waiting for Stefania to come on here. Let's see. Hold on. Stefania, I think you're here. Hold on 1 second.
There you go.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Jack, come here. It's here.
Good.
Sorry, my dog is like, who's this? I know, who is it? Oh, who is it?
He's so cute.
How are you, Jessica?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I love all the greenery behind you. It's beautiful back there.
Like a forest. I love plants, and since now I have time to stay home and actually water them without like killing them, I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I definitely don't have a green thumb at all.
It happens. It happens.
How are you doing?
Great baker. I am good. Strangely, I'm missing home like crazy right now because summer is such a beautiful time to be in Europe, in Italy, and see my family. And I feel like there's a specific vibe about European Italian summer that I feel like, for obvious reasons, I don't feel here. But I feel like in general, America kind of works all year long. In summer, Europe stops. Everybody takes time off, and I'm struggling with that. I'm trying to keep myself busy in order to not to miss my family or like Italy so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, how are you?
Oh, about the same. Except I don't have the experience of the beautiful Italian summers to draw from. But I think
Traveling.
I've definitely been enjoying the beaches here.
Nice.
And that's something I think before this time, I never sort of, I probably took for granted quite a bit.
Right.
But I can't sit in my house anymore, so I'm trying to find little pockets.
Exactly.
Yeah, but being outdoors has been sort of my saving grace of just enjoying the sunshine and that stuff.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about Southern California that we take for granted most of the times, and I feel like we are getting to appreciate now. Nice.
Well, I'm very excited to talk to you because there's so much like I feel like, right now there's a lot going on in the world and to sort of embrace the positivity that we can. So like some wonderful news that you had during this time and which we'll talk about. But before we get started, I always like to start with an organization that whoever I'm talking to is passionate about and wants to highlight. So I've gone ahead and go ahead and talk about it before I...
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah. It's basically Catania's Red Cross, Croce Rossa di Catania, which Red Cross is all over the world, but I feel like I specifically chose Catania because it's where I was born. And during the pandemic, I feel like I realized how much support Americans were getting, or at least the most of Americans were getting, people that lost their jobs, that had the opportunity to get unemployment, and then a big chunk of money of unemployment. And I feel like in Italy, everybody just got 600 euros, and that was it. So some people had mortgages to pay, some people didn't. Some people really didn't have any more money to put food on their table. And I feel like the Red Cross, which normally doesn't really do this kind of services, started buying grocery shoppings for families and allow people to eat. So I have a very dear friend that has been volunteering with them for many years. They have 1,000 volunteers. Only two of the positions of the people that work for the Red Cross get a salary. Everybody else is a volunteer. So I really love their goal, their scheme, like the way their charity is organized and what they're doing in this specific time. So I decided to support them on doing these cameo videos and everything that I that I make through that goes directly to them, and yes, I've received like help from another group that donated some money to the Red Cross on my behalf, and yeah, so this is the one.
Amazing. So I pinned it here in the bottom of the conversation. So if anybody goes to the link, they can donate directly to the organization, because some people were asking how. So
yeah, donate to PayPal is very easy, and obviously any amount is incredibly helpful. So thank you for letting me talk about them.
Of course. So I was very excited to catch up with you, and like I told you, so many people sent in so many questions, and I think like just from this, they've sent more questions in than the last 29 of my chats had combined.
What?
Like
wow,
hundreds.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
The fans of Grey's Anatomy and Social 19 are amazing. They're so present and active and loving. There is a group that supports Danielle and I, and they bought a star, like they got a star named after us. So this is the level of love that we're getting. We're getting smothered with love.
That's amazing. So there were so many questions that I think I feel like it's important to start, because there were so many story questions in terms of where the shows are going, and from what I know about the process, I imagine they're all still writing.
Yeah.
And you probably don't have the information, or if you do, you're not allowed to divulge it at this point in time.
And from previous experience, it changes as we go. So some stuff that is supposed to go in a certain way at the beginning of the season then changes and drastically towards the end of the season. So yeah, all of this.
Great. So I just wanted to let anybody who was watching and looking for those answers, just so you know, we probably won't have those sort of answers here. But the thing that I'm excited to talk about is sort of how you got started, because it wasn't the conventional, like you were pursuing acting right away. Tell us about that.
Okay. Well, where should I start from? I feel like, well, I used to be a professional dancer. So I definitely didn't start pursuing acting. And then I moved to Los Angeles, and I realized that I didn't want to keep dancing here, and I took an acting class, and I felt like, wow, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to learn this, and I want to become better at this. It felt like an extension, or like of what I was doing before. Like performing as a dancer was great until a certain time, and then I felt like I needed to do more, and I felt like acting was the right step to take. I tried to work behind the scenes, didn't like it. I tried to choreograph, and I tried production, but I was like itching to be on stage or on set. And I decided to stop dancing completely and dedicate myself to study acting, and obviously I became a waitress, because it's not that, I mean, some people decide and start working, but that obviously wasn't my experience. And yeah, well, long story, I managed to get, so can we talk about casting director workshops and this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I do want just to take it back, because you know, you sort of have a unique perspective and experience, because you did come from a different country to whether pursuing dancing or acting. When you made the decision to start acting, did you already have a visa, or like what was your paperwork situation to be able to work?
Very good question. So my visa only allowed me, I had an O1 visa, which was given to me because of my dancing resume. So I got here, and all I could do was dance.
Oh, there we go.
I could only dance, sing, or act, but the acting was mainly supposed to be like stage acting, like musical, something that involved dance, because the main reason why I got the visa was for dance. So even for film and TV, it was a little murky. I didn't know if I could do it with my O1 visa. So that's very hard to get, harder now than it was before, but yeah, I had an O1. Then eventually I did two very big jobs. I ended up getting a green card, but that happened like 3 years later. I did several dancing jobs. I did a big commercial for a big brand, and so I got my green card. And then so basically I feel like it's hard coming from a different country, or maybe coming from a different state in America, to even know where to start from. It's like, yeah, I want to be an actor, but what do I do? So there's the websites. They're accessible to everybody, which is Actors Access and Casting
About? Okay. Network.
Yeah, but I feel like you can subscribe to those and get breakdowns of smaller auditions, and that's what I started from. So I started submitting myself to either music videos or short films and student films, and I booked my first student films, and you start building like slowly. Everything was unpaid, obviously, and you start like slowly building a network. Then in acting class you meet actors that have been in the industry for more or less time. One of the actors that I was in acting class with was doing a short film, and he asked me to be part of it. So that's where I got my second project, and slowly I started building enough material to build the tiniest show reel. And with that, I started cold emailing a bunch of agents, massive one, medium ones, and lower one, because obviously coming from a different perspective, the sky's the limit. You have no worry, no problem about reaching out to a huge agent. Thing that I probably wouldn't do now, knowing how it works. But then I heard from one of the agents, and I worked with him for like 6 months. I got a music video through him, and then kept going to acting classes. I had some terrible experience in acting classes. That's why I saw in one of your interviews, in one of the Coffee with Casting, mentioned go and audit classes before you start paying. And I think it's an amazing advice, because what works for somebody doesn't work for some other people. Some people are more or less sensitive. Some people need the tough love. Some people do not need the tough love. So I feel like it's very important to go and see how the teacher works, because it costs a lot of money and it's not easy to make money. So I feel like that was a very good advice. And a lot of frustrating times. I feel like every time that I was about to quit, because I was like, I can't do this anymore, I got a little glimpse of hope. Something would happen that will give me strength to keep going. Either like a student project, or a friend that tells me I want to do this, or do you want to be part of it? Like something that kept me going. And then I started doing acting in casting director workshops. I signed with an agency in the southeast market, and they're like, we're having this event. There's like amazing casting directors. One of them is coming from LA. You should come see them. And guess who was the casting director from LA? It was Jessica Sherman. So I flew to Texas to do this workshop, which now is like, again, one of those crazy things that you're like, why?
Because I remember we talked like right after you did your scene. And this was, I think, 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
We weren't even like in a big, like one of the big cities. We were in Frisco, Texas. And I remember talking to you and you saying that you were LA based, and I was like, what are you doing here?
I remember you saying that specifically, but it was like to meet my agency and also show them that I was committed and I wanted to do this. And I felt like then I started taking these industry classes with people that give you recommendations on how to navigate these casting director workshops or the acting classes or the websites. And I feel like the best tip that they gave me, it was like, rather than go see a casting director once, because it's as good as you can be once for 2 minutes, I mean, it's going to be very hard for them to remember you. Why don't you go see them again with new material and show that you can be versatile, or just to remind them that you exist. And I felt like I took that advice, and that's when I came to see you a second time.
Mhm.
And
But
also,
the first time was very memorable in itself.
well, I guess you remember me, but I feel like also I really enjoyed the workshop with you because you have a directorial um, quality about you. I feel like you're very good at understanding the scene and also like giving very specific and curated notes that make a big difference within the tiny scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I think because the workshops are sort of like a touchy subject
Yeah.
and sort of kind of always have been in the sense that the when I've always done workshops, and it's something that I've sort of grown into for the goal of the workshop was when you have newer actors who are not familiar with how it all works.
Yeah.
Like this is our opportunity to educate you on the process because there are so many sort of outside factors that are never within like acting classes or whatever it is or going to drama programs that I think having these workshops is less about making an impression because a lot of the times the actors that are coming to workshops are not ready to make impressions.
Right, for sure.
So this is sort of a unique situation, but I think especially since in Los Angeles in California, a lot of those workshop studios that were there strictly to like
educate or like
not the positive stuff, but
yeah,
like
like
a
okay,
little shady business, they're
yeah,
no longer around, which I think is really good because the
yeah,
ones that are left over are really the ones that are informing actors about educating them about sort of also the in the room sort of energy, which I is a little bit lost now with the world as it is.
right.
But I think having that sort of practice to go in and to work, like truly workshop a scene with a casting director or associate is so valuable because you get to have the experience of like the energy of that. But it's also there's no weight like the preciousness of that experience is only to educate yourself versus
absolutely
introducing
like an impression for sure. And I feel like that is actually a very good point. I feel like for me, nerves have always been a very big component of the casting room. And I get very comfortable in class after a while. That's why I tend in acting class. That's why I tend to change acting class often because I want to put my nerves. I want to challenge my nerves, and I feel like director workshops are very good for that because, as you said, the energy is the one. Also, that the person in front of you, as much as right now we're like there to learn, has the capability of bringing into the room for an audition. So the nerves are going to be there no matter what. So it's a very good exercise. It's way better to exercise it in this environment than for an actual audition.
Yeah, and I also think there's value in getting to know the energy of that casting director before you actually have to go in and audition eventually, because not everyone is delightful or not everyone is warm. So it makes it less stressful and less personal, I think, when someone's not as warm as you think they might be.
I had auditions where I was stuttering in Italian because of how nervous I was. So it's like my own language. I know you have no idea what I'm saying, so I could be saying anything I want right now, and I'm so nervous that even though I have that, I'm like, oh. And the casting director was the nicest person. There was not even a camera. I was like doing the scene with him without a camera, and it was so sweet, and I was just like, wow. This is so nerve-wracking. Yeah.
No, what do you think has been sort of the biggest challenge for you over the years? Because I think that there's sort of that expectation when you come to LA and you're pursuing it is that it'll pick up right away.
Yeah.
And I think that I guess the question is more what, but where's the question? It's not coming. The question is, before Grey's Anatomy, before that opportunity and that booking came to you, you were probably really focused on actively auditioning. How do you keep yourself sort of motivated and inspired in between the auditions, in between the episodes even?
Okay, that's a very good question. So because I have an accent, I don't know if you've noticed, but my auditions weren't coming as often as they could come for somebody that has an American accent. And so the pressure and the anxiety that I put on each one of those auditions was humongous, because I knew there was going to be few months sometimes before my next audition came along. So I feel like acting class was really helpful. Casting director workshops were really helpful to exercise that muscle and to start caring a little bit less and put a little bit less pressure. Caring less in the sense of, if I don't book this, I'm still gonna eat tomorrow.
Yeah.
My family's still gonna love me, and the world doesn't end. So put things under perspective, because we put so much pressure on ourselves, and also our families don't necessarily realize how hard it is coming from different cities, different countries. They just think
just a different industry completely.
That exactly.
Yeah.
And it isn't like that. For me, also picking up a hobby that was outside of the industry was very healthy. I feel like sometimes talking about the industry and thinking about the industry all the time felt a little bit poisonous. So picking up gardening, or walking my dog, or just drawing, or getting passionate about a charity or something that isn't necessarily consumed, felt very good. Yeah.
And I think that that's probably when other things begin to sort of take, like your acting stuff begins to take off, because you're not putting all of that pressure on every single opportunity.
Yes, 100%. I believe that. Like the more there's like a very nice book that I always recommend called The Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's like a self-help creativity book, and talks about how momentum generates momentum, and being stagnant, just worrying about what you've done wrong or what you could have done better, it doesn't really bring you anywhere. And just literally getting passionate about whatever, stamp collection can unblock things for you and just make the whole situation flow a little bit better, a little bit more organically.
Yeah, I want to, for Grey's Anatomy, was that your first professional American job?
So I got a USA Network guest star role in New Orleans. It was like a 2-episode thing for a show there, and but nothing in LA. And then, okay, I need to tell the whole story because it's so good. So I go to a casting workshop with you. I do the scene. I feel like we had a very strong connection. And then I get an email from you saying, Stefania, I feel like you are ready for a better representation. Here's a list of 10 manager and agents that I work with that I think could be interested in talking to you, and I've already told them that you might. And I was like, what? That email felt like a massive Christmas present. I literally could not believe my eyes when I read it, and I was like, okay. And I had basically no credits to my name apart from a couple of independent projects, student film, and this USA Network thing. And of these 10, only 3 agreed to meet me. This is to tell to how hard it is, even exactly. And of these 3, Paul was like, you have no credits, but you know what? Let's try and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then I kept bugging him every now and then, like, hi, I'm here, I'm alive. And they're like, yeah, I know you're here. We think about you. And then 4 months later, he sent me an audition for. It's like, yeah, they're looking for this an actress that can speak Italian for Grey's Anatomy. It's like a guest star role. And do you want to go tomorrow? And I was like, yes, of course I'm going tomorrow. Which, by the way, the day before I got the audition, I was crying in acting class because of how much I hated my accent, and I felt like it put me in a box. It didn't give me a lot of freedom to play different roles, and I was desperate. And then I get a Wednesday crying, Thursday I get the audition, go to the audition thinking whatever, they're gonna book somebody else with another accent from a different country because it doesn't make any difference. And then on Friday I was at the table read
Wow.
with everybody. Yeah. And
That's why. And so what was the audition experience like for you for that?
so actually it was a little at the beginning I felt I was the first one to go in. And Linda was a little bit like, I'm gonna let you prove myself. I'm not gonna be warm and fuzzy right away. She was like, I'm gonna let's see if you deserve me to be nice to you.
Yeah.
I was polite, but not too warm. And then I did the scene the first time and they laughed and they were like, okay, let's do it one more time. And they gave me some notes. Then we did the second scene. And I felt like by the end of the audition, they were so nice and so welcoming and warm. And Linda even said, don't go back to Italy. And I was like, no worries, I
I'm
won't.
not going anywhere.
So it was a great experience. And but I feel like that was one of those auditions where I went in and I was like, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. It's only my first audition for this manager, so I don't have to nail it right away. I can, as long as I do good, I'm okay. Like I wasn't putting too much pressure on myself.
That's good.
And I was very prepared. Like I really worked on the scene and I felt confident. Yeah, the role fit me.
Yeah. Did you know that it was supposed to recur so much, or was it a one-off?
No, they didn't tell me anything. I thought it was gonna be like a 1-2 episode thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Wow.
yeah. Yes.
Not too shabby.
But that every time people tell me how did it happen, tell me the story, I always say it happened thanks to a woman. And I feel like that's you. If it wasn't for you, I never would have started working with Paul. If it wasn't for Paul, I would have never gotten the audition. So
Well,
yeah,
I'm so happy to be part of your journey in
yeah,
which way. So
absolutely.
it gives me like when you posted the thing about you got up to a series regular, like I I think I woke up to that message or that post and I was beyond overjoyed.
No, thank you
So
so
happy
much.
for you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's amazing, especially this time where it's like having a job and a job that you love. Oh, wow, it's like such a luxury.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know if you'll still be able to sort of cross over to Grays even though you're full on there?
So I think so because I still have the relationship with my brother there.
Yeah, I well, just because I don't know like what the storyline is going to be, but in terms of all of the COVID-19 precautions that they'll have to take into place in terms of actors going to and from different sets.
Yes, there is a lot of precautions in place. I feel like there's still a fine tuning every detail, but I feel like yeah, it's gonna be hard. I don't think there's gonna be as many people crossing over because of the reason. But they've also announced that they're gonna deal with the COVID outbreak even on the show.
Okay. Well, I mean, in the medical scope, it makes sense.
It makes sense, exactly.
Well, that's
Which
good.
is also good because we'll probably wear masks and it will be safer for us to be on set also because of that. Because right now, like everybody else will be wearing masks and protection and we won't be. So we're the ones putting people in danger. So it's a big responsibility. Although we'll be tested all the time but yeah.
That's crazy. What was the first thing that you did when you found out that you got up to a series regular?
I actually look at I was like, I want to do something amazing for my family. So I looked at it like a boat holiday for the whole family to just take like a week and go to sailing somewhere all together.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
that sounds so nice.
I know, not now, unfortunately. It'll have to be like maybe next year, but
In the future, yeah.
exactly in the future.
Just because it's I don't know if you'll know, but just because so many people ask, like, what are you hopeful in terms of your character that they'll be able to touch on now that you're full on there?
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like it's a firefighter show and I'm an OBGYN, so it's like it's gonna be interesting to fit a full storyline into that. But there's a beautiful relationship with Danielle. with Maya's character, which obviously will be a big part of my presence in Station 19. But I feel like there's also room for a lot of medical stuff tied to their firefighting thing. There is like a special unit that, because there's also another surgeon that became a firefighter on the show. There's like talking of like creating a unit where there's doctors that can help like at the scene of the fires right away without having to wait for ambulance and stuff. So I feel like maybe there's some room for Karina in there, but I'm sure they're gonna find. We actually had my first meeting. I didn't know, but you have a meeting with all the writers when you become a series regular to talk about your hopes and inspiration for your character, and it was so good. They ask you so many questions, and it's like, okay. And
also, like, if you have any sort of hidden talents that they could incorporate, like that was something that I didn't realize they did on previous shows that I worked on. They try to use whatever skill set that you have with your character.
Yes, I mean, they do try, and I feel like I don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah, it was so fun. It was so interesting. I've never had that experience before, and we had it on Zoom because obviously we're trying not to meet people in person. So that was very interesting. It's just so many talented minds creating crazy stories.
Yeah.
So you've been part of, like, as a casting director, you also you go to table reads, I guess, for sure.
You can. I all of the TV that I've worked on has shot in Canada, so I've never been in the area where they're having table reads.
Right.
But I think when we've done pilots in the past, that even if they shoot in Canada, they record and you can watch the feed live. So that's been fun.
Amazing.
So good. Yeah, it's definitely an education. Having worked in TV, they usually put casting in like the writer's production office. So when we start, the writers are usually about halfway through their process, and they've broken out to write their scripts at this point. And then when we're halfway through casting the season, the editors move in. So we sort of have this really unique perspective of seeing where the story starts before the actors get involved and they shoot, and where it ends once the editors jump in, and how they sort of mold it based on performances. So it's I think it's sort of a fascinating place to sit in and witness both sides of it, and because I never knew that they met with series regulars until I worked on a show and I saw them do it, and so like, oh, that's fascinating.
That's smart. Exactly. Yeah, it's so fascinating how sometimes even if something is so clear how it is written in the pages, but then once the actors and the directors get together in the space, how much it can change, although you're using the same exact words, because of the performance of like the little nuances that the director can add to the material. And then the editor puts his own twist, which is funny. Yeah, on Grace, there's sometimes that have been seen that we have shot completely, like the episode is finished, and then like they change something that changes completely the following episode and the storyline after. Like people break up and then they don't break up anymore, and then they're and it gets edited out.
I'm curious, just from your point of view, being on a TV set and having all that experience, how is it adjusting? Because every episode is probably a new director. What is that experience like, and how do you sort of make it work for you?
I don't love that, if I have to be honest, but there are some fun aspects because you get a fresh perspective from that director that hasn't worked with you before and has watched the material, and he's like comes with a very fresh point of view, and I feel like that's the most exciting part of working with a different director every episode. I feel like, especially with the younger one, I think there is this there is a little bit of a fear. Some actors can be very intense and very hard to work with and not very collaborative, especially if the season has been going on for a long time. So I feel like a lot of directors come in and they're a little bit like, can I say
Really walking into
exactly. And so I love just going like, yay, let's work together. And I feel like Danielle and I are very similar like that. I love notes. Yes, I love collaborating with directors. I love hearing their opinion. I love the more specific you are and giving me notes, the more I'm happy. I don't like when people just tell me just do it differently because I'm like, what?
There's so many options.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it is fun. But I also I haven't worked in that many film sets, especially not very many big ones. I did a small part in Ford versus Ferrari, which was great. But it is a very different experience. But like James Mangold is a super New Yorker. He's very like
Yeah, that's great.
the major difference is in film, you do the same scene 50 times. In TV, 2 takes and you move on. So you have to be very prepared and like know where you're going, how you're moving, because then you have to repeat it for the other angle, camera angles. Exactly. So that was the main thing, the main difference.
That's was there anything that you did differently in preparation for how you shifted it for film? Also working in Italy, you've done film there, right?
Yeah, I did a comedy there, and yeah, a lot of difference as well. Okay, so a big difference is also in the. I feel like it's important to know what your role does in the story. I feel like in Ford versus Ferrari, my character just brought the story along. Wasn't supposed to be like, haha, look at me, or like, I'm funny, or anything. It's like one of the stories that just help telling one of those roles that just help telling the stories. And I feel like I remember like trying to put a little charm in there or like a little smile, and the director was like, no, I feel like let's just strip all that and it's down to matter, just you're down to business, you're just basically like the translator. So I felt like I was the shadow of Enzo Ferrari, and I enjoyed doing that because it's very different than
and that was a very intense scene just in terms of negotiation, so I understand that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So I think, yeah, the preparation is always the same. I guess it's hard for everybody. If you're judging what your character is doing, it's very hard to then portray that character truthfully because you're always going to be detached from it. And so I feel like sometimes I struggle with that. I have to like really feel like, okay, if I was in this situation, what would make me behave this way? And I really have to believe that, because if I don't, I can tell what I'm saying in the lines. I'm like, I don't believe myself. Why would the casting director believe me? So that's a big struggle. And I think in the Italy one, I improvise. In Italy, we improvised so much. So much. It was like kept going. Sometimes 2 minute scene became 5 minute scene. I was like, it's still okay to talk. Am I still going?
Yeah. Is that more common, generally speaking, in Italy, or is that because it was a comedy?
I think because it was a comedy, and also the main actor was also the director and the writer, so he had full power of what was happening on set, and he wanted to keep going and just kept going, and we just went with it. At the beginning, I was like, what's going on? And then you just go for it. But I feel like the improvisation helped me on Grace as well, and it allowed me to sometimes put in a line or a word, and most of the times they're okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone had asked if there is in terms of like the feel on set between the crew and the cast, is there a major difference that you notice between Grey's and Station 19?
I mean, you can tell that like Grace is a group of people that have been working together for 16 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, with the pro and I have not necessarily pro and cons, but with the qualities of a group of people that have been working together for 16 years, they all know each other, and it's a very well oiled machine. So there is no waste of time. You arrive, you get it done, and it feels it's very efficient.
Yeah.
But it's very, like, everybody is super nice. They kind of have to, because if you work on a show for 15 years and you hate it, you're gonna stop it. You're gonna go somewhere else. And so everybody, I feel like, makes an effort to have fun and enjoy the day.
And I imagine, since they're both Shonda shows, like, she probably attracts the same sort of energy throughout all of her projects.
I think so. Yeah, because they're very similar sets, and there's so many great women. I feel like that is something that I really enjoy. And and Station 19 has a little fresher energy because it's a newer show and everybody's still like, yeah, super excited. So
That's fun.
yeah, they're both fun, but in different ways.
Yeah. A lot of people ask, and I don't know what it's referencing because I pop in and out, but deleted scenes on Grey's with Maya.
Oh, I think there's one specific one because there was a set photographer that day, and so there's photos of that scene that never made it onto the episode, and so I think that's the one that they're referring to. And yeah, it was just a scene where Maya so some guy got his nose chopped off, and she brought the nose for our surgeon to reattach it. She found the nose in the forest and she brought it back to the hospital. The guy came to the hospital without the nose. She found the nose and brought it to the hospital. And I feel like I saw her, and then it's a long story, but we met at the bar, and then the bar scene got deleted, and then we met at the hospital again, and she kind of invited me out. And
so lots of reshoots, and that's why it's deleted.
That's all gone, but you didn't miss much. I feel like, I'm just gonna say, what made it into the episode is the best part of it, so it's good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What, I had some other questions here. What are some of your aspirations moving forward?
Very good question. So last year I started shadowing Paris Berkeley, the director and executive producer of Station 19, as the director. When I was in Italy, I worked very closely with the director, writer, and actor of the show, and I felt like also having been a dancer and a choreographer, I really liked being part of the full, like, picture, the creation of the full story, of the full process. And I started in Italy and I really enjoyed it. And I felt like I asked to shadow Paris, and he said yes. And I felt like I really enjoyed that aspect too, the collaboration with all the different departments and having a better understanding of the whole story, of the whole episode. And I liked it also because I think it will make me a better actor, but also because it's something that in the future I would like to properly learn how to do. I directed my first little trailer for some cooking classes just for fun during this pandemic with a very small group, and that was a lot of fun. And I'm starting to think about my first short film that I want to shoot in Sicily, and so this is something that I'm trying to, I want to put out there. And
that's so exciting.
Yeah.
And that's great that you're able to shadow and to get that opportunity to, like, be the boots on the ground with him.
Amazing. And Paris is amazing. This guy is so good. He's also so talented. He has 30 plus years of experience. He's still so passionate about what he does, but I feel like he cracks the whip, but he's also nice and warm. And I like that. I like yeah. It's a very good combo. And he's so knowledgeable, which is something that I aspire to arrive as a director on a set with. Like, if you know what you're doing and what you're saying and what you're talking about and a little bit of all the departments, it's so much easier to earn everybody's respect rather than if you just show up.
I'm here.
Yes.
Oh, that's so funny. Hold on. There were.
What about school? I want you to be a director.
Huh?
This is my personal wish for you. I want you to be a director or an acting coach. Something. I feel like I know you already work with actors, but I feel like I want you to work with actors a lot more. I don't know why.
I don't know. I have this weird sort of a little bit of imposter syndrome where you're like, who am I to tell you what to do? And I
No.
realize it's part of my job. But I think it's sort of in the contained space of casting, I can thrive in it and am comfortable and confident in it. But especially when it's my own projects that I know everything about.
Right.
And this is sort of the same problem I have when I read with actors. Like my first thought is I don't want to mess you up, so I'd rather not be the one that does it with you.
No way.
And so the idea of coaching an actor for an audition that's not mine is daunting for me to put that on the actor. Like it's a weird thing, but I don't know if directing is my thing, but I definitely have aspirations to produce.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, so it's something that I'm working on actively, and I've been using this time at home in front of my computer as part of that. But and these, honestly, having the experiences of having these sort of conversations and the elements of producing this like tiny little thing has been so educational and very exciting. So yeah.
Oh, great! I'm so excited about that. Right?
Yeah, I guess we all realize different things during these times. But
so free time, yeah.
Have you taken on any new interests or hobbies while you're at home?
Well, I got a new place, so I've been obsessed. Like my Pinterest board is all about house stuff, house decoration, house construction. I've been like nailing stuff and stripping wood, and it feels so good to work with your hands. Gardening and paint, like sanding my wooden floors. It's been so good though.
Yeah. I had so many. I think this all started, and we probably all had those aspirations of, making that long list of things that we're going to get done during this time. And slowly, for me, faltered little by little. But I got a couple things accomplished.
Like what? Like what?
That's a good question. I replaced my shower, like something that I've lived here for 8 years and has probably been here.
Oh my God.
So it's like the little things. I practice my Russian very infrequently, but just the same.
Amazing. Yeah. So
I started doing puzzles, which I still hate them, but I do them.
Okay.
I feel like puzzling for me is like a little bit like road rage.
It is? It just gets you mad?
I get so mad because I can't find the puzzle.
You can't find the piece. I think the goal of the puzzle is the opposite, is to relax and get your mind off of stressful things. I love it. You're like,
yeah, those things. Just because it's something that I like to ask everybody I talk to, if there was like a piece of information that you like best sort of, if I knew then what I know now information, what would it be?
Okay, so there's part of me that wishes I didn't know some things now, like the agent thing.
Yeah,
I feel like sometimes not knowing how hard it is, not knowing how many doors you're gonna get, like it's just the l'incoscienza in Italiano. I don't know how you say it in English, but like kind of like
you're willing to take more risks, not knowing what's the negative of it, I guess.
Exactly. So I think that's a beautiful thing that is a plus for everybody that is new and comes with this attitude, and probably also what keeps you going for a little bit longer, because if you already arrived that you have a ton of fears and rules and knows that you have to follow, it's probably harder. So I feel like that's not knowing some stuff at the beginning is good. Something that I wish I had known. I feel like the main struggle for me is like learn to control my nerves. So I learned to put less pressure, learn to find. I saw some. It was Will Smith. They said I don't have a plan B because I know that I'm gonna make it to the plan A.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing, and I really admire that. And as per a day, I was like, I'm gonna do the same, but didn't work for me. Like I'm not. I don't work well when I put that much pressure on myself. So I feel like I don't necessarily need to have a plan B, but I need to have other stuff in my life that makes me happy. Like at some point, I wasn't traveling at all. I wasn't going to see my family because I needed to be here. And every time I left the country, I got an audition, and I was devastated. Like the best way to get an audition to book a holiday.
Yeah.
So true. And then I was like, you know what? I only live once. And if the job has to arrive or the audition has to arrive, it will arrive when I'm in LA if it's the right one. If I'm home with my family, it means that it's not the right one.
Yeah.
So just take it a little easier.
Yeah. Trust the process a bit more.
Yeah.
And I think that the thing, especially now moving forward, is that everything is going to be virtual, right? Everything is going to be self-tape. So I think there's a bit more freedom.
Yeah.
And this is not just related to actors, but like you see companies that are not requiring their employees to come in to the office anymore regularly. So I feel like I've seen so many people that are just up and moving to wherever they want to live that will give them joy and happiness and
Amazing.
you know, I think all of the stuff that's been happening has been so horrible, like as the big picture, but trying to find space to appreciate and value the things that you kind of are realigned to is so important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. The most important. But yeah, now I feel like a big advice from you could be like how to like, is there any set rules for self submissions or like self tapes? Is it like some big no's, something that you shouldn't absolutely do, or is
I
it?
mean, I think every casting director is going to have a different opinion on unsolicited self tapes.
Right.
So there's a risk that you take, and I've talked to so many actors that like their one opportunity came from that risk that they took, you know.
Wow.
So I don't ever want to squash.
Discourage. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think you never know what's going to happen, but I think it's definitely about reading the room, whether virtual or not, of doing your homework and getting a sense of the casting director. If
Right.
you are trying to get in touch via social media, making sure that casting person created an open space for actors to reach out, or if it's a private page, don't request to be their friend because it's private for a reason.
Right.
So I think it's being mindful of all of those things is very, very important. But also sometimes you do have to take a chance. I'm like, I can't tell you the number of cold emails I've sent to directors and producers just to see if I can get a meeting as a casting director.
Right.
So you just never know, and you have to, like, that bit of like ignorance is bliss sometimes. That you can strike gold when you least expect it.
Yep. 100%. 100%. And also, like, I feel like it's important to be creative with the way you reach out to people and
respectful.
And respectful and creative. Yeah, an email, like, you can totally ignore it. It's not like that aggressive. Obviously, don't show up to people's houses, but
and don't email 30 times. It's like like being. I think it's having common sense when you do those things, because it's not for us as casting people. Like, it's not about just showing up in our inbox over and over again, because having that sort of name recognition is not always a good thing.
Sure.
And it's not going to be efficient for you if we are not looking for something specific at that time. So like it may come in and out of our brains, if the timing isn't right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm going to turn, everybody was yelling to turn off the comments, but I'm going to turn them on again, just so everybody can see the link
Very nice.
to the Red Cross. So for people that can donate and are able to, please copy and paste that link into your browser and donate a little bit of money. But we're basically at the end of our time here. That went by so fast.
It did. Oh, wow. I just saw the clock. Amazing.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, so good.
Yes, thank you so much for being game to do this. And then see Jackson's there.
Jackson, hi. Oh my God. Okay, you tell who you want to tell who Jackson is?
You can do it.
No. So I used to be a dancer, and Jackson is a very good friend of mine that I used to dance with, and now he's in Shondaland. Is in Magic Mike show in Vegas. There you go. Sending love to you both. Grazie, Jackson. And now we're common friends. We both went to see him.
Yeah. Lovely. Well, before they cut us off, I would like to say officially goodbye.
Yes, thank you so much for this. This has been such a pleasure. I'm so happy you asked me to do it, and anytime. You know that. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Ciao, Bella.